Barkley, 20-footer, yes! For the tie! Her turnaround shot in the air! It's good! Flash, no! What? Finds the Wallace. Barkley puts it up. Does it count? It does! Jacob good! Donald center's good! Oh my goodness!
Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Solar Panel. I'm your host, Greg Esposito. Ahoy, hoy. Joining me as always is the man, the myth, the legend, the bearded one. It's the Silver Fox, Dave King. Dave, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Well, I don't like the outcome of that game, but I'm otherwise pretty good.
We'll get into that in just a second. And we've also got a man who I'm not his father, but I might be his daddy. It's Darth Voida, John Voida. How are you?
Oh, what the hell?
Got down, sat on a bench. Lakers, man. It's got to be the Lakers, doesn't it?
Of course it was always bound to be the Lakers, right? The team that the Suns last faced in the playoffs almost exactly 11 years ago this week.
That's right.
And it's the team that they're going to start back up for the first time that they've been there in over a decade. It's the Lakers. We got one of the greatest games I've seen in a while in that play-in game. It was back and forth. It was Steph versus LeBron, like it was advertised. The NBA got what they wanted in a play-in game. And in the end, it came down to LeBron hitting a shot and the Warriors turning over the ball. I mean, that's really what it was. The difference in the second half was turnovers by the Warriors. And that means that your Phoenix Suns will now face the Los Angeles Lakers for what feels like the 4,000th time in the playoffs. Not recently, obviously, but another in a long series. John, let's start with you since you're the guest here, and then we'll get to Dave. Initial thoughts now that you know for sure it's the Lakers.
Well, let's pop open a beer because
we're gonna need it.
We're gonna need it come Sunday. Take a little sip here. Initial thoughts, truthfully, I'd have it no other way. I mean, it seems like
you needed a beer before you said that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm clearly drinking. It's destiny. It's been in the stars for the entire last third of the season. We knew we were going to play the Lakers. We knew that the LeBron narrative was going to be pushed every way that he could. He did it again tonight. I couldn't see, man. I just shot for the middle rim. I knew it was going to happen. I think that we've all kind of mentally prepared for that. And, I guess the guy who I feel for the most is Jay Crowder, because the last time he played a playoff game, he was watching confetti in Orlando, and he's got to take on the Los Angeles Lakers once again. He's going to have to play a pretty big role for the Suns as we move forward into the playoffs.
Dave, do you want to share your thoughts? I think they'll be less positive than John's. I'm just going to say that.
I'm
trying to be happy.
Tired of. Yeah, I know you're doing a good job, John. That's your brand with the Suns Jam. I think that's awesome. You know what? Look, I'm excited that the Suns are playing the best team in the league. I really am. The Lakers are still the best team in the league because they can win any game they have to win. They figure it out. They played terrible in this game. The Lakers played terrible basketball in this game. But LeBron James and Anthony Davis made enough shots, and Golden State wasn't good enough to hold them back. Now, the big question is, will the Suns be good enough to hold them back? The Suns are a much better team than Golden State. Steph Curry notwithstanding, we've got a player who can get 35 points against the Lakers, and then we have other players that are really good. So I really think that the Suns have a better chance unless the Lakers start playing at the top end of their potential talent level. But if the Lakers play like this, the Suns can beat them. I'm just I'm frustrated because, man, the Golden State had that the whole time, and they kept it into the fourth quarter, and they started having me convinced that I was going to be able to watch Steph Curry for the next week and a half. And obviously I was wrong.
Look, this is going to be big brother versus little brother, the haves versus the have-nots, the rich versus the not so rich. I won't say poor here in Phoenix, but that's just always been the storyline when it's Suns Lakers. But you know what? It's going to make it that much more interesting. It's going to baptize an entire new generation of Suns fans into what it means to chant the hell out of beat LA. You're going to learn to hate a whole new group of Lakers because none of the guys that were there 10 years ago are still there, but you're still going to hate them because they're wearing the purple and gold and they represent that city that most of us can't stand. So, look, is it going to be easy? Hell no. But has anything this year been easy? Did anybody expect any of this year? No. If you wanted
Some of this has
respect,
been easy.
It has been a good year. I mean, we have played a lot of teams when they didn't have their full rosters and things of that nature. So,
but
little easy.
They had to fight all year, right? I mean, they didn't take nights off. They're not going to be able to coast in a first round matchup, and that's fine. All right, that's fine. They're going to get tested right out of the gates, and we've wanted this team to get respect. We've wanted Devin Booker to be recognized as a star. All those things. Well, if you beat the Lakers, you're getting all that and more because you've proven yourself at that point, and then you're looking at a path that may be open to you getting to the finals at that point. So you know what? Everything you want is on the other side of hard, baby.
That's exactly what I was just about to say, Espo. You're damn right.
Look, man, people are worried about the Suns' lack of playoff experience. Take a look at that Golden State team. How many players on that team have playoff experience on that? You have Draymond Green. You got Steph Curry. Who was making big plays?
Looney.
Okay.
And then that's
Looney.
it.
That's like Torrey Craig. You know what I mean? That's like
Andrew Wiggins has 5 games.
5 games for Andrew Wiggins. Nothing for Jordan Poole. Nothing for Juan Toscano Anderson. Nothing for most of those guys. And Andrew, 5 total games in his life, and they were playing well. So I'm not worried about the Suns playing like they haven't been in the playoffs before. I think the Suns are going to play hard, and they're going to play the same way we've watched them play all year long, hopefully at their peak. What I'm worried about is LeBron James and Anthony Davis just not caring.
Yeah, well, look, it's the whole playoff experience thing, I think, is crap. I tweeted earlier, but it's like when they tell you, oh, well, your major's going to matter in college. Are either of you guys doing anything that was actually directly related to your major? I'm going to guess no, because most of us don't. Maybe loosely tied to it, but look, the playoff.
I have like 15 credit hours.
Sorry,
of college,
Espo.
okay?
I'm just like crapping on you today. Yeah, I'm doing my major. Yeah.
Look, I'm not. All right. I'm sitting in a closet talking to you two guys. So what the hell? Actually, that was kind of what I majored in. But look, I think it's overblown, right? Because what that means.
That's right, David Wigton. We got the Valley Court, man.
I look at it and you hear that, and really what that comes down to is, are you going to be nervous in big moments or not? Well, guess what? You got CP3, you got Monty Williams. Those are the kind of guys that keep you calm, even if you're a young, underexperienced team. And Devin Booker has proven he's got the cojones for big moments. So I am not worried.
Mikal Bridges is cool as a cucumber. DeAndre Ayton, he might throw an air ball kind of turnaround hook at one point, but he plays really well under pressure on defense and boxing out and all that. And I'm not worried about the guys not standing up to the pressure. Look, here's the other thing. Okay, let's stop talking about what we are worried about. Here's another thing that the Suns have in their favor. They've got home games to start this. Lakers are playing at home tonight. And that helped them win the game because they had some of their fans there. The Suns are playing games 1 and game 2 at home. Is it a 2-3-2 or is it 2-2-1-1-1? Do you guys know how the first round goes?
I think it's 2-3-2.
I don't think it's 2-3-1-1-1 till the finals.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was the other way around. But that's okay. No, I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is the Suns have more home games than the Lakers. That's what I'm worried about, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Game 1, you might have seen scroll on the
it was
on the bottom
12:30, huh?
12:30 on Sunday. It's game 2, 7 p.m. on Tuesday. So all
right,
and then we got a Thursday game, 7 p.m. and then Sunday again.
Channel of Cool 2-3-1-1-1. Yeah. Is it 2-2-1-1-1?
It's all 2-2-1-1-1.
Yeah, I think it's the finals that goes 2-3-2.
Yes.
Why
You
did
are
they
correct.
change that? That's weird. I don't like that.
I don't care. There more
That's
of them
okay.
have played
No,
in
that's
Phoenix than
great
in LA.
because there's no way the Lakers, as long as the Suns take at least one of the first 2 games at home, there's no way the Lakers close out in 5, right? So the Suns get the 5th game at home, they get the 7th game at home. The Suns have the advantage in this series, and the Suns are a much better team than Golden State. Are the Lakers a much better team than the Lakers that played tonight? Yes.
Yeah.
We don't know if they can get there. I sure thought the Lakers would play a lot better tonight than they actually did. So that actually gives me a little bit of hope that the Lakers are not going to be in sync. But we've got it. We just got to watch the games play out.
Yeah.
How much of
By
a
the way-
problem do you think Alex Caruso is going to be?
More than we want him to be. Let me just put it that way. I want him to be a nothing, but he's probably going to be like a campaign, like we want campaign to be. As exciting as campaign is, Alex Caruso is going to be for them.
Alex Caruso is going to be the Laker we all hate after this.
Oh, big
He's
time.
destined to be the Robert Ory, the Ron Artest. Like, that's the kind of guy, the guy you look at and you just get pissed off when you see him on the court, which is slightly problematic, easy enough for me to say, for us, since he's a Manscaped spokesperson. So I'm going to be very torn when I hate Alex Caruso through this series. But look, he's a guy that's going to drive Suns fans nuts, and that's okay. That's the fun of playoffs. You wind up having grudges against the weirdest freaking people because of playoff series, and I hope Alex Caruso winds up on that list, but the Suns get the series win, and it'll all be okay in my mind. I'm fine with that.
I tell you what,
there's a lot of comments about DA, and look, guys. DA better play for a contract, things like that. DA better step up. Other people going, he is going to step up. He'll be a star. Look, man, DA is a role player and a very, very good role player. Do you think Draymond Green, look, I'm not saying he's Draymond Green, but do you think Draymond Green is a star or a role player? He's a very good role player. We need Mikal Bridges and we need DA to play like that, where they're doing everything the stars can't do, but they don't have to do everything on the court. No, these guys are not Anthony Davis at his best, but collectively the Suns, right? We don't need him to be. Collectively, the Suns have more depth of talent than the Lakers do. They need to.
Depending on the positioning, though, and I think that the depth of the interior of the Lakers, although I wouldn't say it's necessarily more talented, they're definitely bigger. You know, a guy who hasn't been playing forever for them is Markieff Morris, because I think he was shooting 1 for 27 from 3 the last time.
He didn't play at all.
He hasn't played at all for a while.
Yeah. He will in this series.
You know exactly. He will. You know the depth of the interior is something. That's why a lot of people are asking and begging for DeAndre Ayton to be something that we all hope he can be. And I really hope that he just shows up and shows out on the defensive end, because you're right. He is offensively a role player. He's not going to be somebody who we're going to rely on for 20 points a night. If we can get, 12 points and 14 rebounds and a couple blocks, and he plays stellar defense and stays out of foul trouble, that's a win for the Suns. It's going to be in later series, once we move past the Lakers, where he's really going to have the opportunity to utilize his offensive skill set in a manner that's going to be productive for the Suns, because the Lakers are going to take that away. And we saw that the last time we played the Lakers. The first thing they did in the first quarter was take DeAndre Ayton away, force him into foul trouble, and then get Saric and Torrey Craig in there and just try to deplete our frontline depth, so players like Anthony Davis could go crazy and do what they want. And that's where Andre Drummond comes into play for them. They're gonna. He's going to be the one who's going to try to get those fouls on Ayton early. And then once they do, they go to Anthony Davis at the 5, and his athleticism and his ability to get inside and outside is going to be really tough to stop, But I think that if DeAndre Ayton can control his body, which is something he's gotten really better at, and he doesn't probably get enough credit. I know he does from us, but the casual fan, they want to see the dunks versus the layups. They're not looking to see what he does on the defensive end. But the way that he has his body control, and he doesn't fall for pump fakes, and his lateral quickness and his length is something that has been really beneficial for this team this year. We're going to need it come Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and his switching ability as well. If DeAndre Ayton protects the rim, plays solid defense, and anchors that defense, it's a huge, huge win in this series, because that's the way they're going to win, is with DeAndre Ayton playing smart on that end of the floor. It's not the offense that they have to have from him. It's the defense, and they need Mikal Bridges to play shutdown defense. That's going to be the key to this entire series: is play good defense, play gritty, and your offense will get enough as long as you keep those guys in some sort of check. And really, it's the Lakers, bench guys. It's those other guys in the starting lineup that you can't let any random guy go off along with a LeBron or AD. That's when you spell trouble, right? When you focus too much on LeBron and AD and the extra guys, the Alex Carusos of the words, the Wes Matthews, the Kentavious Caldwell-Popes, somebody random goes off offensively. That's when you're going to be in big trouble in this series.
I tell you, Kyle Kuzma's going to hit a three that's going to piss me
in a
off
while.
in this series. I know it.
Kyle.
That can happen. Random guys are going to go off, just like for the Suns, random guys are going to go off. Campaign's going to get 20 in a game. You're going to see Torrey Craig. He had a couple of runs where he scored 10 straight points for the team in the last week. Random guys are going to go off for the Suns. We just got to minimize it, and you can't have it like all the time, and you can't have holes in your defense. You gotta really be strong. I got a question for you guys. Who is Mikal Bridges going to guard in this series?
LeBron.
LeBaby.
No, he's not. He's too small. He's too skinny. LeBron's just going to power right through him.
I think
he was eating up Juan Toscano Anderson.
Yeah, I guess you put Jay Crowder on LeBron, and you could switch him onto AD when AD's playing the 4.
I guess. I mean, but you're probably gonna double with Mikal in that situation then on LeBron or AD. Like you have to have Mikal involved in playing defense against their best players. If you don't, you're playing into the Lakers' hands because you're going to put them off on Alex Caruso and have him not involved against LeBron and AD.
Well,
I think it's a recipe for disaster.
One thing you could do though is you can double with a couple other players and have Mikal sit back and play the passing lanes, which he does so well.
You could go that route. That's a good point.
He could. They don't have anyone who's extremely quick, and I think that's Mikal's kryptonite is when he's got smaller guards that he has to play, and he just gets beat with quickness, and he's utilized his length to kind of make up for that, and he realizes he can. But I think that, if you have LeBron James out there, you can try to run some doubles at him utilizing Booker and Crowder, and just have Mikal sit back and essentially play cornerback or free safety and pick off some passes. And I think that might be something that's beneficial. We might see a little bit in the series.
He's going to have to play passing lanes. I like your point there. I really think he's not. I don't think I know he's not big enough or tough enough. Not tough, but strong enough.
Yeah, Crowder's got to be
the body to defend either of LeBron James or AD straight up. And so I think Mikal just plays all the passing lanes and tries to get 2 or 3 steals a game and change the game that way.
And lock down those tertiary players that we were referencing. Yeah. He's the guy who can lock down a THT when he comes in off the bench, or take out a Schroeder. Although I think CP3 can take out Schroeder.
I think you're going to have to put Crowder on AD in kind of that Draymond role.
Yeah.
Where he's playing AD. I think that's where you're gonna.
Oh no, Crowder's going to have to play LeBron.
Yeah, because who's going to take LeBron? Who's going to take AD? If Drummond's in the game, if Drummond's playing the 5, or if Drummond's playing the 5, you got DA playing him, and then you got AD playing the 4.
I would bring in Saric, and I would have Saric play Drummond. Drummond cannot score close to the basket. Then you got DA on AD, and then you've got Mikal playing free safety, and Jay Crowder on LeBron. And for stretches there, those guys can actually do pretty well, I think.
I'd flip Crowder and Ayton. I'd put Ayton.
Crowder did pretty well against LeBron in the finals last year. That's why I'm saying Crowder's thicker too. LeBron just runs you over, and Anthony Davis kind of is more okay playing in that mid range, the kind of game that we hate watching DA do. AD does it pretty well, and I think a guy with a little bit more range, and so DA and AD can both kind of play in that mid-range area and occasionally get to the basket and block shots and stuff. I mean, I'm not comparing them as quality of players, but they're certainly close to being the same kind of player right now. And then Jay Crowder on LeBron. Hey,
what's up, fellas? How we doing today?
Good. The Carmel Thunder from down under saw Bookman joining us on the show. So we'll get you involved here in a second. One last thought on that is, I look at what we're talking about here, and this is why the Lakers were the team I did not want to face, because there are so many matchup problems, especially when you have two stars that are as big as AD and LeBron. Then you throw in Drummond, who wasn't all that effective against the Warriors, hasn't been great, but it's more size that you have to try to counter, and you don't have it on this roster. So you're going to have to try to turn that into a weakness for the Lakers on the other end, which is a tough task to come through. So, Saul, any initial thoughts for you, on the Lakers being the matchup? I think for those of you listening on the podcast, Saul's face is saying everything you need to know right now. Hopefully his words will too.
I actually completely disagree a lot with what you guys are saying.
Wow.
I think the
Why'd you
Warriors
come in?
because I got to prove you guys wrong. I think the Warriors proved tonight what the kryptonite is. They are a small team. They are just as small as the Suns are, and they played LeBron and AD. Now we have to say this: LeBron and AD haven't played together but 3 games this season, so there's a little rust right there, right? Especially in an intense game, you can't just play 2 regular season games and think you're going to be ready for the playoffs. So we have to put that caveat out there, but it's a smaller team, and I think they kind of provided the blueprint. As long as you can shoot well, you have a chance against the Lakers, and that's where I think you guys are missing the mark. We're so worried about the size. Drummond is a bum. I don't even know why the F we would even worry about him. Like, you got to block him out. That's all you got to do. If you block him out, you're good.
But that's part of the problem with this team.
The little guys on the Warriors were able to block him out. So as long as you do your, as long as you follow your responsibilities and you block out and you don't just watch the ball, you're going to be fine against Drummond because he ain't going around anybody. He's concrete. And then you got to get out and run. You got to run past the Lakers. And if you don't run against the Lakers, and I know CP3 is a slow down type of player and stuff, he's like a small LeBron. LeBron likes to slow it down every now and then. He picks and chooses his moments. I think the Suns have the athletic ability to be able to outrun the Lakers in the series. And the most important part of all this, you saw what Steph Curry did tonight. He gave his team a chance. The Suns are a much better team than the Warriors, but they're only a much better team than the Warriors if Chris Paul or Devin Booker can play to the level of what Steph Curry can provide. Not all the way there, because obviously Steph Curry's on a world of his own. But, between the two, if Steph's going to give you 40 a night against the Lakers, then between Booker and Paul, you should be able to get 50. And I think if the Suns do that, they'll win. If Chris Paul and Devin Booker can bring home between 40 to 50 points a game by themselves, I think the Suns win the series easily. If they don't, I think they get swept, period.
Oh, it's going to come down to their shooting too, which has been the back half of the schedule.
I've been doing on this a lot, Dave.
Period.
But when you look at it, the back half of the schedule has been when the Suns have had their stroke, when they can hit from 3, they've had no problem. It's when they have the dry spell from long range that's been problematic. That's going to be this series here. If they shoot well from deep, to your point, Saul, this should be a series you can win. If they struggle offensively from downtown, you're going to have a major problem here. So which Suns team are we getting? Which offense are we getting?
Well,
are we getting Mikal Bridges, who only shot under 66% from 3 twice in the final 10 games, or are we getting Mikal that struggled at times?
But what I'm having a problem with is that, listen, I've been saying for a long time that I'd rather play the Lakers in the first round. And if you're the number 2 seed, you don't adapt your shit to the 7 seed, period. I don't care who you are. Like, you got to play your game. Yeah, exactly. You got to impose your will. You got to make the Lakers match up with you. We got to stop worrying about matching up with the Lakers. Yeah, Drummond might be a problem down low, but guess what? He can't outrun anybody on the Suns team, so make him pay. Make him play on the perimeter. Make him defend DA down low.
Wait a second.
Matchup, it's all over.
Wait a second. You just spent 2-3 minutes telling us that the Suns have to change their style of offense if they want to beat the Lakers.
I didn't say anything about changing.
Yes,
the style
you
of
did.
offense.
You said they have
needed,
to run the ball and
I
not
need-
play the way CP3's been playing. And then you say that they shouldn't change the way they play against the 7th seed. So which is it, Saul?
Mommy's,
going to play
mommy's
their
mad
game.
at daddy right now. Dave, fade away.
They got to play their game, right?
Look at the wall.
Look
at the wall,
some of
John.
And part of that is Espo, is that you got to go out there and play to your strengths. And I think the Suns' strength versus the Lakers is to be able to outrun them. I do. Like, I don't think that's not their style of game like the Warriors, but they can outrun the Lakers. So you got to take advantage of that. So wipe out the shit out of your ears and listen to what I'm saying.
I heard exactly what you said. You contradicted yourself. And
I didn't
fine.
contradict myself.
You
They
got to
play
pick
their
and
game.
choose your time.
They can outrun the
That.
Lakers.
Yes.
That's
This
part of
is
their
true.
game.
Yes, that is true. Especially when campaign comes in, there is a lot of running as well.
All right. So I'm
Saul
gonna.
was talking about shooting, but I'm sorry, Voida, go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say was, you guys were on the podcast probably a couple weeks ago when Dave wasn't there because he was getting manscaped somewhere, and I thought it was a really interesting conversation that both Espo and Saul had relative to this topic. And I've typically been Team Espo on this. I said I want the Lakers in the 3rd round if possible, if we have to play them at all, for a plethora of different reasons. And I've been beating that drum for quite some time on my podcast. But after watching the Lakers play today, watching LeBron not play at the peak of his abilities, not even come close. There's no lift. He's moving a lot slower, a little discombobulated. I think that I'm kind of gravitating towards what Saul was saying, and I understand what he's saying, because now's the time to strike this team. Now's the time where, you know, they're fresh or they're newly acquainted almost on the court again, because it's been so long since any of them have played together. Now, granted, they're also one of the hottest teams in the NBA. I think this is their 6th win in a row now coming into the playoffs. So they're a team that's definitely gelling. But I also think that if we're going to have an opportunity to beat this team, if we were going to have to face them, now is the time. Now we have to beat LeBron. We just have to avoid a lot of his flopping.
Yeah, no, and look, one thing that we haven't talked about is the fans, right? The Suns are going to have roughly 10,000 fans in the building.
I was talking about it. Jesus.
He literally
Were
brought
you
that
not
up
here?
At the beginning of the show.
He's talking about home court advantage.
Everybody
I'm talking about home court. I'm talking about number of fans in the building.
Let me
10,000
apologize.
in Phoenix, 1,000 in LA.
I definitely brought this "Mama just got slapped by Daddy at the dinner table" vibe, and I apologize for
did.
that. So
there's a lot of emotions right now. I get it.
I hate the Lakers. I hate them so damn much.
So somebody in the chat said, "Get it out now. We need a unified solar panel going into the playoffs." And you're right. We're getting it out now because, we have plenty of old wounds when it comes to Suns Lakers, and some of that's showing right now. All right, and that's what happens when you go live, when you just find this out, and you're not mapping out points. You're just feeling
still raw.
Things.
We're
You
still
guys
very
are such
raw.
rookies at this. Jeez, I do this after every game.
Hey,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Back the
Yeah,
truck
but
up.
this
I
How
game
didn't.
many times
mattered.
have you done this after a playoff game?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
Oh,
Zero.
Mr. pats himself on the back and goes, "I've done this every game this year when they won 51 games and there
Exactly.
wasn't losing."
It's been awesome. I'll tell you, the last time they were in the playoffs, I don't think there were podcasts.
Look, I did the
There
Suns
weren't.
post-game
There was
radio
barely
show
blogs.
when they were winning 19 games a year. So don't talk about knowing how to do this, Sonny.
you
all
I'm
right?
gonna
don't
pat
know
your
how to
back.
do this during a playoff game either, Espo.
I don't.
Hey,
That's
look,
damn
guys.
straight.
All right, hey, let me say something. Jeez, you guys.
Go
talk
ahead, Dave.
too much. God, jeez. All right. Saul said the Suns got to do more, be better than Golden State in the ways Golden State was good in this game. And then Espo said the Suns got to figure out how to shoot. Well, maybe this is a news flash for you, but the Suns are one of the best shooting teams in the entire league. And Golden State, no matter what you might think of Steph Curry, Golden State is not one of the best shooting teams in the league. Golden State had a below average offense this year. It was easier for the Lakers to shut down the Suns. You guys all know. You said that wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready.
Jeez.
Status, Dave.
Well, I
please.
said I would go on my own.
I know.
And there
It was
you
a
go. You
premature.
s-
It was premature. I'm sorry.
Now you got-
Premature
oh, yeah, well,
statulation.
when
all right?
she says
yeah.
that, premature
Just remember, though,
statulation.
Golden State was a top 5 defense, though, this year.
No, but I'm talking offense.
I'm
Stay
talking
on the
defense.
program, Boyda.
Herbie is
Jesus,
now
which championships?
Herbie. You are now kicked off the chat forever.
Sticks is the X factor
Jesus.
in 4
This is the
years.
X factor.
In
The
4
Suns are
years.
one of the
In
best shooting
summer
teams in the
league.
league. Effective field goal percent, true shooting, pure field goal percent, everything. They're one of the best two shooting teams in the league. You've got to beat the Lakers with shooting. I agree with Saul. You can't just try to play big with them and pretend you're big. You've got to play to your strengths. Golden State lost that edge in the second half because they kept turning the ball over. Steph got really loose with the ball, tried to be extra creative. And CP does not turn the ball over. Suns are also one of the lowest turnover teams in the entire league. And so they do the things that should be able to beat the Lakers, as long as you don't have it within a 30-foot shot with the score tied with 2.1 seconds left and LeBron can't see. That's the only times that it seems like the Lakers can win right now.
Dave, I get it that they were one of the best shooting teams, but we saw games, and it happened, but we saw games where they went on dry spells. You can't have those against.
We're talking about a
Lakers,
7-game series. We're not talking about one game and out. We're talking about a 7-game series. Over a 7-game
get it.
series, they're going to be
One-
who we thought they were.
Also,
one game could cost them.
Also, just as much
Actually,
as
it's
we
4
could,
games that cost them.
as much as we could have a bad game, so could the Lakers. I mean, that's always
Right.
you're going to factor that in, and it's whatever, right? But
4 games.
The big difference is that this team is going to get days in between. From Thursday to Sunday next week, from between game 3 and game 4. They're going to have plenty of rest. They're not going back to backs. I think game 1 is going to be a learning experience. So everybody needs to prepare themselves for that. Amen. Because there's a bit of shock and awe when you get to the actual playoffs that you might not be ready for. And the Lakers, to a degree, weren't ready for it in the first half. They thought we could just coast in and yeah, Steph's going to get his, but we'll still, it was a battle the whole way. The Suns are going to have a little bit of a learning curve in this game, and I wonder if they're going to be able to pull it out in the end. But I think in the long term,
Golden State didn't need a learning curve. Golden State came out and punched.
That's true.
Memphis didn't need a learning curve. They came out and punched earlier in the earlier game. No, the Golden State lost because of their second half, not because of their first half. You come out, you throw the punch. You don't need playoff experience to know how to throw a punch.
These Suns are winning game 1.
Oh,
that crowd is going to be behind them.
We all know how great Espo's predictions have been of late. Shit.
Damn. Why'd you do that, Espo?
Sorry, Espo.
Why did we let Saul on this show? Why did I ever vote yes on him being the third member?
I got you.
Thank you. Saul put himself in purgatory. Look, they're coming out with the home crowd who hasn't had a playoff game in a decade. The
that crowd is going to be
insanely loud. Devin Booker has a point to make because this is what he's dreamed of in Phoenix, being in the playoffs. CP3 and Monty aren't going to let the moment be too big for the rest of these guys. I think they come out and take care of business because the Lakers just put themselves through the ringer to get that win versus the Warriors. That was an emotional win. I think they are going to have a bit of a letdown in that game 1, and the Suns are going to be ready to come out and show off. And I think they're going to win. Darth.
Wow.
Everybody's quiet.
I know, man. We would love for them to win.
I don't want to be a negative Nancy. Yeah, I would love for them to win. I really would. I don't know if they will. I just think that, we're going to learn a lot about Devin Booker over these next couple of weeks against this team, against 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA, against an experienced team, against a team that has the number 1 defensive rating in the league and the second most opposing points allowed in the league. This is a team that's going to pester and annoy and create problems for Devin Booker. And, if history's taught us anything as of late, Devin Booker, when he's in those situations, has a hard time responding. He hasn't put up, he has those inefficient nights, and, he'll get his points because he gets volume. Although I will give him credit. He is learning under the tutelage of CP3 that, hey, if I'm being pestered, try to get to the rim, try to get my points at the foul line. But I'm afraid of a boat racing come Sunday afternoon. And I think from there, getting punched in the face, I think this team can respond. And I honestly think that as this series progresses, as long as we score more points than them, we will win.
The other thing,
Hey,
somebody asked,
there you
somebody else
go.
in the chat kind of brought up something. They said Warriors killed the Lakers on defense, still not enough to beat the refs. And what I will say to one Devin Booker is, don't let it get in your head.
Yes.
It's going to happen. There are going to be
emotion.
I mean, we saw tonight how many awful calls there were. There were at the end, Steph gets held by AD. They don't even think of blowing the whistle on that one. And then you got the luck factor, because I swear the Lakers are the luckiest franchise of all time. You got a one-eyed LeBron hitting stuff from half court to win the game. Like, are you kidding me right
One-eyed LeBron. As always, LeBron played that crap up.
Well, it was swollen. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Playing that crap up. Yeah, not like Steve Nash. Remember his eye being swollen, his nose being broken? Call me when you look like that, LeBron. Otherwise, stop your crying.
But Steve Nash lost those games.
Yeah, he did.
Look,
that's the key, though. It honestly is. If you think back to those Spurs teams, why did we lose those Spurs teams? It was those words we said earlier: impose your will. The Suns allowed the Spurs to impose their will to the point where we were trading and trying to get Kurt Thomas in here to fight Tim Duncan. We were trying to beat them with size. The one thing we have to give credit to, and the one thing that we never talk about, or I wouldn't say we never talk about, but we don't talk about as much as we should, is this defense of this team is fantastic. And we have a lot of versatile players, and we can impose our will defensively, and with Chris Paul at the helm, run our offense as long as, it sounds so cliche and stupid to say, as long as we shoot well, we'll beat them. Well, yeah, duh, but we're going to have those open shots. That's why Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, if he's healthy, it looks like he's going to play. Mikal Bridges, they're going to have wide open threes in this series all day long. They've got to knock them down because they're going to run the high pick and roll. They're going to run screens with Devin Booker to try to get him open. And, if the defense starts collapsing, those shooters are just standing out there and going to have all day.
I actually feel really good about the Suns and their opportunity in this series, because I just feel like, okay, let's just say worst case scenario, they lose in this series and they go home. Okay, chances are the Lakers are probably going to go at least to the Western Conference Finals, if not the NBA Finals. And yeah, it could have been us had things fallen a different way. And it's not good for the league that you might have New Jersey and LA who sat their stars basically all season, and those two teams might make it to the NBA Finals. That's a problem for the league anyway.
Who's New Jersey?
Or I'm sorry, my bad. Brooklyn.
They'll always be New Jersey.
Yes,
just like the San Diego Chargers, they will always be the San Diego Chargers.
San Diego. But the Suns, if they can pull this series and win, I just think, holy crap! Now you're playing with a whole new deck of cards, because you just slayed one of the biggest giants in the league. And now you're not just thinking Western Conference Finals. This team could win the NBA Finals. So
agreed.
I mean, it's just it's a big risk, big reward. I think one of my favorite movies is Fired Up. I know it's funny to say that, but you got to risk it to get the biscuit, baby. So let's do it.
No risk it, no biscuit.
Look, be the irritant. They need to be, like, to your point earlier, they need to be the Spurs. What the Spurs were to the Suns, they need to be that to the Lakers. Be the irritant. Be the one that forces the way that this series is going to be played. Really just get under the skin of the Lakers. And they have the guys to do that. That's the way they play defense all year. They were the team that other teams didn't like. It's totally different for the Suns, because that's not what we're used to in Phoenix. Embody that, embrace that, and be that against this Lakers team. And I'm excited to see that. I want them to be that, because we've seen what it's like to play the way the Suns had for decades in the playoffs, and it never worked. Well, now you've got the kind of team that is built for the playoffs. Go out there and do what you can. And I think James Jones plays a factor in this series, because if there's a guy that understands the inner workings of LeBron James, the way he looks at this stuff, it's him. It's CP3. They've got guys that understand that. It's going to be fun, and there's so many storylines too. Some people forget Monty Williams chose this Suns team over coaching LeBron and the Lakers, right?
Right. He said it wasn't even a choice. He said once he heard Phoenix wanted him, once he talked to the owner, Robert Sarver, and to James Jones as the GM, once he talked to those guys, he knew where he needed to be. It wasn't even a contest on whether he was going to go to the Lakers or not. Yeah, the Lakers talked to him, but he didn't want to go there. Now Monty is here. He's going to be coach of the year. He got his peers voted him coach of the year this week. He's probably going to win the media one. If he doesn't, then the media was wrong. I mean, it's crazy. If all the coaches think you're coach of the year and the media picks somebody different, then the media's got an agenda. That's what there is. But no, I'm looking forward to this. The Suns, I'm going to say this. Esso's hot take is the Suns are going to win game 1. My hot take is even if the Lakers are too good to be beaten, this is a better Suns team for the playoffs than any we have seen since the 90s.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
And that's because this team plays both offense and defense. The Suns have not had a top 10 offense and defense. When was the last time? What was the last team that was inside the top 8 in both offense and defense for the Suns? Espo.
It probably was. I don't know. I don't think any of the 2007 seconds or less Suns got there. So it's got to be 94, 95.
And in top 10, in top 8 in both offense and defense. Salt.
I'm going to say 89.
Oh, man, you guys don't read my flipping blog, do you?
When do I have
wrote
time to
about
read
this
anything?
week. Look, man,
That's why it's a
Burns and
question.
Gambo read my blog, and they talked about it on their show for 10 minutes, but you guys can't be bothered to
That's
read it.
because they work for 4 hours a day. I work 12, and then I do this stuff.
All right, so you might be surprised to know that all of the Tom Chambers and Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley teams, those last 3 teams, the 88 through 92, 89 through 92, were all top 10 in both offense and
Well, I wasn't
defense.
wrong. I said 89.
I
said
knew
the
that.
last
Dave just
time.
didn't ask
The
me.
last time. Well, I know John reads.
It's
I
because
don't know if you guys read.
John admitted to us he's doing that at work. So.
Well, yeah, of course. You got to do this stuff at work.
Yeah, I'm going to write a whole Jay Crowder piece tomorrow. It's going to be fantastic.
Sweet.
I don't really have
I'm
an
in.
excuse. Like, this is my job. So
It is your job.
My bad, Dave. I got you.
That's all right, guys. Don't worry about it.
Look,
I was surprised when I looked it up. I looked it up because I wanted to know his last team was so good on both ends. And the Barkley team, they were only 9th on defense. That 93 season, they were only 9th. So, I mean, that's still good, but and that was the best. That was the top end of what the Barkley teams did. But yeah, no, it was. You wouldn't think Tom Chambers was an anchor of a good defense, but he was.
But Chambers, Marley, Hornacek, KJ, that's the first group that beat the Lakers in the playoffs too.
Yep.
So maybe history repeats itself here when you've got a top 8 defense and offensive team.
Their first 2 years together, they made conference finals.
Put some respect on Mark West's name.
Oh, well, of
Yeah,
course.
Mark West.
Because he was huge. He was huge in that series.
He was more of an anchor
Yeah.
on the defense than Tom Chambers. I
This
guess
is true.
Is that what you're saying?
He was.
Yeah. Let's remind everybody Sunday, 12:30 at the Chupacabra Tap Room. Well, the game starts at 12:30. We'll be going live right after the game, but you can join us out there in Mesa at the Chupacabra Tap Room. Watch the game, then watch the show live as we discuss everything post-game. Dave will come to us live from the arena. We'll be out there, myself, Saul, John, and Matthew from the Suns Jam Session podcast. We're going to be doing these post-game extravaganzas after each and every game. I mean, it may not be, all of us may not be there each time, but we'll have somebody there, and we're kicking it off or tipping it off more appropriately Sunday for that 12:30 start against the Lakers. Guys, we're coming towards the end of this, but I want to remind people, consider this a PSA. We're going to have to deal with a lot of damn annoying Lakers fans coming up, all right? At the arena, in these chats, anywhere and everywhere you go, you're going to have to deal with annoying Lakers fans. So just remember, center yourself, don't buy into their crap, and ignore them is the way to deal with a Lakers fan. Otherwise, you're going to wind up punching him in the face, and that's assault, brother, and nobody wants that. So.
That's right.
Just
We got
reminding
Kendall.
everybody.
As Bailey Lyons says, we got Kendall Jenner.
We do.
We do.
We do.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but we do.
I got a quick question. So if we're
Yes.
kind of like those Spurs teams, right? You know, we can impose our will defensively. Which member of the Suns is going to be the Bruce Bowen and kick LeBron right in the junk?
Oh, that's
Jay
Jay.
Crowder.
Jay
Is that
Crowder.
Jay?
That's got to be
That's
Jay.
That's got
Gotta
to
be
be Jay.
Jay.
Yeah. What I love about Jay Crowder is he has a
Or
tendency
Cam,
to
John,
flop.
campaign.
He has a tendency to flop LeBron style just as much as LeBron does.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see him taking a flop and just kicking him right in the nads
Oh,
on the way down.
You know, Mick World. Hey, it could happen. Don't put it past it.
The way Jay lands on his threes, drawing the fouls on landing on his threes, he's going to end up kneeing somebody in the junk.
Hey, Channel of Cool said, "Why not Craig?" And I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Torrey Craig could be the guy that goes Raja Bell on somebody.
Yeah.
in this
Absolutely.
series.
I haven't seen a mean streak from him yet, though.
Oh,
He's
I
mean
could
when he
see it
grabs
coming.
rebounds.
Yeah.
He's very
So-
aggressive and maybe throws one of those.
So is LeBron when they're up by 10. Like
Yes.
every time. Just watch LeBron when they're up by 10 after they've come back. He grabs the rebound, he slaps the ball
Slaps
like,
the ball,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're such a front runner.
I tell you, I think
Swear.
one of the hardest things is at the Chupacabra tap room, seen as the game's 12:30, is to do the podcast sober. Like it's going to be Sunday fun day, you know? So
Why does that mean everyone's going to do the podcast sober?
Oh, but I mean, I have to be somewhat coherent, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
you're saying that's a challenge. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, it's
You see these, all
night
these
games
guys.
I typically don't
I'll be at the
drink.
arena, but all these guys will be like, "Hey, well, what happened in that game?"
I'm going to be too angry to drink. That's
Well,
going to be the
I-
honest truth.
No, you're not going to be too angry, Espo, because you said they were going to win. So
Yeah.
that should
Yes.
put you in a good mood.
No, but inevitably, these are going to be the most stressful games.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
and there's
absolutely.
going to be things that make us angry even in wins because it's the Lakers.
I will
That's
be
just gonna
straight-
happen.
If,
Look,
if
you know what
everybody
else
wants to be
sucks
rich
about
by
it?
the end of this series, all you have to do is put a lump of coal in your butt before the game
Yeah.
starts. By the end, you'll have a diamond. I promise you that.
You might have
Diamonds
multiple
are
diamonds
forever.
even with one lump. That's how.
Let me tell you
how
what
tight
else
those are gonna
sucks
pucker.
about playing the Lakers is LA media. I just had this fear that I'm going to be shut out of covering the Suns games because 50 Laker media are going to travel now that, we've been vaccinated.
Good. You can come hang
So,
out at the Chupacabra
I
tap
guess
room.
yeah. So you might see me at Chupacabra.
And don't sell your tickets to Lakers fans, season
No,
ticket holders.
don't.
Don't
They're
do
gonna.
it.
They're gonna.
Don't make a
It's
quick
gonna
buck that
happen.
way.
It's
There's
gonna
other
happen.
ways to do it.
Look, inevitably there's going to be Lakers fans in that building. But the thing that Suns fans have to do is just be louder than them. Shut
don't
them the
punch
hell up and don't punch them.
Don't
Because
punch
then
them.
you'll be escorted out and they'll have an advantage at number
Mm.
of people in the arena. Don't do that. We don't need that. Just like Devin Booker, keep your cool during this series. All right.
Just be cool.
I want to give out our smooth baller of the week. We don't have any graphics, nothing like that. But I want to give a shout out to the proud papa, Saul Bookman, as his son today pitched for LSU Shreveport and won. Alex went 7 innings, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. So big shout out to Alex Bookman. He is our smooth baller of the week. Again, if you don't want to look like Greg Popovich during the pandemic down there when your lady friend visits, you don't want to look like the reverse Cam Johnson down there. Go to Manscaped, use the code Flaming Ballers, get 20% off and free shipping at that's manscaped.com. Use the code Flaming Ballers. Congratulations to Alex and Saul. I know how proud of a dad you are. So I just wanted to
dude,
make
I
sure
was,
you got the shout
the
out.
dogs did not like me today, especially on the 4th inning when bases were loaded, 2 on, 2 out, tie ball game, and if they lose, they're eliminated. And he struck the guy out, and I swear I jumped through this roof. I've never had a vertical like that, but yeah, I'm definitely proud of him. He hadn't pitched all tournament, and for him to step up for his team and go 7 innings, only give it 1 run, I thought that was pretty awesome. So I'm definitely proud of him.
Really incredible. Good job,
That's
Dad.
fantastic.
NAIA tournament that they're in there. So congratulations, guys. Before we get out of here, it is time for predictions. We need to get everybody on record on how they think this series will play out so we can make funny videos about their predictions when it doesn't work out that way, because you know what? plenty of those have been made about me, so I want a few of you guys. John, you get to go first since you're a guest here tonight.
All right. Well, first off, I'll do something I've never done on my own podcast. You want to talk about smooth ballers? Here you go.
Oh my gosh!
Is that a smooth baller or what? Look at that. Look at that. That's why I wear a hat.
Man, you manscape all.
I manscaped the top of me dome. I'm going to say Suns in 6.
Solid.
That's my prediction. Suns in 6, baby. I think they lose game 1. I think they win a couple after that. They lose another one, and then they shut them out, in the last 2. I think it's I really think that this team, again, to Saul's point, taking on this team when they're still vulnerable, before they start to get their mojo back, when they're still, when LeBron's blinded and doesn't have an ankle, and I think there's opportunity and we have to pounce. And I think that this is a team that can do it. We can play defense too. If we can shore up our interior and avoid them from scoring 85 points in the paint, force them to the outside, like you said, like the Warriors did, get them to the outside, we win in 6.
Dave.
I think game 1's going to be really shaky. But I think they're going to find a way to pull it out. I think they'll take game 2. I think they'll drop game 3, and then they'll win game 4 and come back home, and they will win the series in 5. I got Suns in 5 because I just
insane.
Really want this bad.
So bad.
You're insane.
So bad.
Dave, what do you got?
All right. So here's my prediction. I don't know exactly the order and how it's going to go, but they're going to be 2-2 after 4 games. And then the Suns are going to win game 5, and the Suns are going to go there and win game 6, and the Suns are going to come home and win game 7, and everyone's going to talk about what a great series it was.
They're going to have 5 wins.
That's 5 wins, series. Dave. That's amazing.
No, they're not. No.
You said 2-2, and then they win. That's fantastic.
Damn it. They'll be down 3-1. We'll say
they're going to win the series 5-2, baby.
And they're just going to keep going. They're going to stop them all the way through game 7.
Game 8 is going to be amazing. I can't wait for game 11.
So I guess I don't
the
get
midway.
this one right.
So, Dave, you think they're going to win in 7?
Me, Dave.
How many games are in a first-round series, and how many do you have to win it, Dave? Stat me.
Oh, jeez.
So
5 now. Didn't you guys hear about the rule change?
7 or 6?
I would believe it.
You got him in 7 or 6, Dave?
Yeah.
I got him 7.
Okay. My prediction, Payne. Cameron Payne. I think Cameron Payne is going to play a big part in this, and I think he's going to help the Suns get a win and win the series in 7. This inevitably feels like it's going to be the most nerve-wracking thing any of us could deal with. That's what we've come to expect from Suns-Lakers series. So why the hell would any of this be different? It is going to come down to a game 7. It'll be home here in Phoenix. That will be the difference maker, and the Suns will move on to the second round. So we've got all of us win. Everybody says Suns are winning. Saul's the one putting his cojones really on the line here, saying in 5. I'll be very impressed, Saul, if it happens. So again, yeah, big ball dance for sure there. Just a reminder again, game time tip on Sunday, 12:30. We will be live out in Mesa at the Chupacabra Tap Room. So if you weren't one of the lucky ones to get tickets out to game 1, come join us for all the fun. We'll watch the game. We'll do the show live after the fact and talk about everything. Hopefully we're talking about a win. I feel like it will be. I think the 3 others are on the fence as to if they can actually pull this off, but it is going to be one hell of a fun time. Gentlemen, any final thoughts? Let's go around the horn. John, let's start with you.
Yeah, it looks like Sunday's weather report is going to only be 88 degrees, so we won't have to, if we're outside at the Chupacabra Tap Room, it won't be 105. So fantastic. We're already winning.
There we go, baby.
Fantastic.
There we go. Ooh.
Swears for kids for no good reason.
We love them kids.
Yeah, I don't think I've personally cussed on this podcast, which is actually quite impressive for me. So there you go.
It costs you $50 if you do. So Saul's broke.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is dude, we're in the playoffs, man. I can't stop smiling about that, dude. It's been so long. I was in the military the last time we were in the playoffs, and man, I remember those games, and they were so exciting. I am just so excited to get back. I hope it's a long run, but it'll be a fun run regardless. I don't care what happens. So, hey, man, just enjoy it.
Dave, your final thoughts.
Oh, my final thoughts is I'm really pissed at the Golden State Warriors for getting my hopes up for 47 and a half minutes basically there. And I just want to see the Suns be a better team than the Warriors, which they are, against this Lakers team, and see the Suns win this. I am so excited about this. I'm so excited for the playoffs finally coming back to Phoenix. And I hope the fans, man, there's supposed to be 10,000 fans plus suites in the stadium for games 1 and 2. And that is going to be rocking. That's going to be the most fans we've had this year. And it's felt like a full stadium recently because the fans are so interested, so excited about the game.
Dave, one other thing, chat's been asking, any updates on Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton from the injury front?
DeAndre Ayton was on a Zoom call today saying he's feeling good. He practiced full today and he feels even better after the practice, so he's all good to go. Cam Johnson just got a cast off his wrist. I don't know if he actually had a fracture or if it was a just preventative to help him heal, but he got his cast off his wrist on Monday. And Monty said recently that he's leaning toward feeling good about Cam Johnson playing. But he's not as cleared as DA yet.
All right. And then my final thought, let's have some fun. It's been so damn long. Let's be loud. Let's enjoy this. Whether you're watching it at home, at a bar, or in the arena, be loud. Get out there and shut these Lakers fans up, because that's what's going to be the toughest thing we have to do. The toughest defense we're going to have to play is against Lakers fans over the next week and a half. So let's do it and do our part as fans to show up. So for Saul Bookman,
real quick, Espo,
okay.
we're not going to have a show on Saturday morning, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't believe we will, unless for some reason we have some major Lakers reporter we want to talk to. But honestly, I don't think I could stand any Lakers talk prior to this series. I think we just need to wait till Sunday and let it all out then.
And real quick, the Suns Jam Session podcast, we're going to be doing one on Friday at 7 p.m., just a playoff preview. So stop on by, say hi, have a beer with us.
Please do. These guys have put in a lot of hard work. I know I gave you a hard time earlier, but yes, you guys have put in a lot of hard work after a lot of wins this year and some losses. And we're glad to have you guys as part of the post game for the playoffs. So for Saul Bookman, you can find him on Twitter at Saul_Bookman. The underscore is there because he has so much pride in his son Alex that he needed the extra space to hold it. You can follow John at Darth Voida on Twitter. It's Darth because there's a dark side, even though he's positive. And you can follow at Dave King at Dave King NBA. The NBA is there because we're back in the playoffs, and Dave actually gets to cover something that resembles NBA basketball finally. And you can find me at Espo on Twitter, the show at Sun Solar Panel. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, hit that like button, hit the join button on YouTube. And until next time, ahoy, ahoy.
Barkley, 20-footer, yes, for the tie. Warhurst, turnaround shot in the air. It's good. Finds demolished. Barkley puts it up. There's a count.